This man led a worldwide revolution in consciousness in the 60s. Wherever he went, thousands of people were there to greet and honor him. His name was A.C.Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupad, and he brought the Hare Krishna religion to American shores.
He even influenced the Beatles, and they helped spark interest in Krishna. Hi, I'm Manya Sergi.
And I'm Larry Laurent. Today we're going to explore the life and character of the man who influenced the lives of millions and made Hare Krishna a household word. At different times, Swami Prabhupada was known as a scholar, a philosopher, a cultural ambassador, a prolific author, a religious leader, a spiritual teacher, a social critic, and a holy man. He was not one of those modern entrepreneurial gurus who come to the West with slickly packaged, watered-down versions of Eastern spirituality. Swami Prabhupada was, rather, a true holy man, a person who is called Acharya, which means a master who teaches by his own example. After arriving in the United States in 1965 at the age of 69, Swami Prabhupada formed the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. This later developed into a worldwide spiritual community with hundreds of centers, schools, temples, and farms, with thousands of dedicated disciples. To have achieved all this in only 12 years was a remarkable achievement. But in addition, Swami Prabhupada also wrote and published over 80 volumes of translation and commentary on the great classics of ancient India. His books were welcomed with great critical acclaim by the academic community, and they were soon accepted in many universities and libraries around the world. Before passing away in 1977, Swami Prabhupada had succeeded in transmitting the profound wisdom of the ancient Vedic culture in a way that was clearly understandable to the modern man. He could explain difficult philosophical concepts to people who were totally unfamiliar with the complex Indian religious tradition. Between 1966 and 1977, Swami Prabhupada circled the globe 11 times. Whenever he traveled, he would emerge daily into the chill and quiet of the early morning, and he would take a lengthy stroll with an entourage of students, disciples, and guests. Swami Prabhupada also appeared very frequently on American television. Let's take a look at one of those interviews.
You founded the Hare Krishna movement some 7 years ago in 1967, did you not?
Yes.
In a capsule, what is the movement?
The movement is to awaken God consciousness of the human being. The human being is distinguished from the animals, that the animals cannot understand what is God.
Mm-hmm.
And if the human being also does not understand what is God, then he is animal.
I see. And so your movement is to bring about an understanding of God among human beings.
Yes.
And Hare Krishna means what?
Hare Krishna means addressing the energy of God. Hare means the energy of God, and Krishna means God.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you were here yesterday and to attend your annual festival that was held here in Golden Gate Park, and we were there too. And in fact, here it is. A few thousand people came out to hear it. How many people are now disciples of the Krishna consciousness movement?
Dedicated life, about 10,000.
About 10,000 dedicated
in
ones.
the Western world.
Mm-hmm. Your Grace, is there any significance at all in the shaved head? Why are heads shaved?
We keep ourselves very clean, that's all.
Oh, it's just a cleanliness thing?
Yes.
Is there any significance in the color of the robes?
At least at the present moment, people think that by keeping long hair, it becomes very beautiful.
I see.
Yes. So we are against it.
Just as simple as that. Is there any significance in the yellow robes?
Yellow robe is the dress, those who are dedicated.
It could very well have been a blue robe. It's something that was arrived at.
This saffron.
Your Grace, why do you feel that so many people are pulling away from the traditional religions in this country, such as Christianity and so forth, and going for the trying to understand the Eastern religions? We hear a lot of swamis and gurus and other type of yogi and so forth. Why do you feel that people are pulling away from the traditional Christian standards here?
But we see that the Christian churches, especially I've seen in London, mostly closed. People are not interested, or the Christian leaders, they cannot make them interested.
Why? Did Christianity fail the people, which is why they're turning to other things? Or?
I think so.
You say that Hare Krishna consciousness pretty much takes the absolute truths from the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, and the Vedic.
Yeah, everywhere.
Everywhere.
Religion means to understand God.
I understand, but do you feel that in getting truths from various places like the Bible and the Quran and so forth, don't you run into conflicts at all or contradictions in those particular philosophies?
No, I don't find any conflict, because the ultimate goal is God. So you have to understand God and try to love Him. So you can go through any religious process. If the goal is attained, that you understand what is goal, and you try to love Him, then your life is perfect.
Why do we see so many of your followers chanting almost all the time?
Chanting means to keep association with God always.
So you have to audibly chant Hare Krishna?
Yes. This is transcendental vibration. Just like a radio message, if you keep contact with the radio message, then you know everything what is going on outside. Similarly, this transcendental sound, Hare Krishna, if you chant, then you keep connection with God directly.
Thank you very much, Your Divine Grace. It's been our privilege to talk with you and to meet you.
Thank you.
And hope that we can see you again when you return.
Hare Krishna. Yeah.
We'll be back with more news in just a moment.
We were also able to obtain some candid footage of Swami Prabhupada going about his daily activities, and we found that there is a remarkable consistency between his private life and his public life.
receiving the transcendental knowledge through Guru Parampara, succession. So we have to simply take instruction from Guru, and if we execute that to our heart and soul, that is success. That is practical. I have no personal qualification, but I simply try to satisfy my Guru. That's all. My Guru Maharaj asked me that if you get some money, you print books. Therefore I am stressing on this point. So kindly help me. This is my request. Print as many books in as many languages and distribute throughout the whole world. Then Krishna consciousness movement will automatically increase.
That Supreme Lord, He is omnipotent, omniscient. He knows everything. But the living being does not know actually what is the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the difference between the Supreme Personality of Godhead and ordinary living being.
My father wanted me to become like this. Know everything, what is going on. He never wanted me to be a worldly man, earning money. He never wanted. That is explained in Narad Pancharatra. Sarvapadhi vinirmuktam tatparatena nirmanam. Rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhaktirishya. When we become free from these artificial designations, American consciousness, Indian consciousness, African consciousness, there is no such thing. This is artificial. Even bird and beast, they also feel consciousness, pain and pleasure. Just like when there is scorching heat, you feel some pain. Is that American, Indian or African? Scorching heat is every feeling. If you say that I am feeling scorching heat American way, क्यों जी?
हाँ जी
ऐसा हो सकता है क्या?
नहीं हो सकता
Simply these are artificial.
हाँ
The Western world, the younger generation were being frustrated with the hippie movement. So when they saw something tangible, they accepted it.
What things would, if everyone in the United States believed in Krishna to the extent that you do, what would happen to this country? How would it be transformed?
They'll be very happy and peaceful. There will be no more hippies.
What would you describe as a hippie? Someone who smokes.
You know better than me. Something extraordinary. So you may love humanity, but because you do not love Krishna, therefore do not love the cows, you send them later on. So your love will remain defective. It will never be complete. And if you love Krishna, then you love him, the small ant. You're not interested in to kill him with an ant. That is real love.
Now Gopal Krishna in India requested that BBT give him a loan of $160,000. In India, just during the Mayapur festival, he requested a loan from a US BBT for $160,000, which would be used to construct the second residence building.
So how will you pay back?
His plan was that the American temples would purchase rooms, and over a period of 4 or 5 years, they would pay that money back. So is that still approved by you, by your divine grace?
Yes, I have done that.
The only thing is that we will have to delay the loan, because for the next 3 months, all our money will be used to print these 17 books.
Fastable books, then loan. However, we cannot hold up printing, that is not possible. This you must always keep in view. We are not going to, the surplus money we are going to pay. Not that at the cost of stopping printing. You must always keep it. When you require money for printing, there is no question of loan of temple business. This should be our.
Our guest today was the personal servant to A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada for almost 2.5 years. He also traveled with him all over the world and got to know him on a very intimate basis. Please welcome His Holiness Prabhupada Kripa Swami. What may I call you, Swami?
Maharaj is more common.
How did you get your name? It's similar to Prabhupada's name. You were his secretary.
Yeah, I traveled with Srila Prabhupada for the last 2 years of his life. Later on, after Prabhupada's disappearance, I took the renounced order of life from one of my godbrothers. Because of my elevation in Krishna consciousness, due to that intimate contact with Srila Prabhupada, then I was given the name Prabhupada Kripa Swami, which means one who has got the mercy of Prabhupada.
What was the one most striking thing that impressed you most about Prabhupada?
The most striking thing, I think, was Prabhupada's tremendous compassion and determination to do something to help the suffering of the world's population. He had a very genuine desire to want to help others. This is the nature of pure devotional service. When one becomes a devotee and he becomes Krishna conscious or fully God conscious himself, then he has no problems for himself. He knows that at the end of this life he'll go back to Godhead, or he'll go back to the spiritual world. And even in this lifetime he experiences no real difficulties because his consciousness is fixed. But he sees that so many others, due to their ignorance of their spiritual nature, they are suffering. They're suffering from old age, they're suffering from disease, they're suffering from so many minor distractions, etc. And he wants to help them to be freed from their suffering. So the only ambition that a devotee has is to try to help others. And he becomes distressed if he sees others in distress. That's his nature.
Did he reveal any intimate thoughts to you or any other GBC members?
Everything that Prabhupada wanted to say, he put in his books. It's an open secret. It's not that Prabhupada just kept some knowledge or some ideas just to an intimate few. Those who were intimately connected with Srila Prabhupada got the same instruction as those who may have never even met Srila Prabhupada. Everything is there. He's written 80 volumes of books. And Prabhupada often told us that everything that I wanted to say is there in my books. And anyone who has read those books thoroughly can become just as qualified.
He's written how many volumes again?
Over 80 volumes.
How long did it take him to write those?
Prabhupada began seriously writing in 1960, and then when he came to the West in 1965, he began a very intensive program of writing.
You worked very closely with him. Did he really write those himself?
Oh, yes. When we were taking rest, that was when Prabhupada was up writing. I would give him a massage in the evening time, about 9, 10 o'clock at night. Then I would go and take rest, and then immediately, practically, Srila Prabhupada would rise, he would chant on his beats, and then he would sit down, and all night long, from midnight practically till 5 o'clock in the morning, he was translating from original Sanskrit volumes into English.
So let's add that up. How many hours did he sleep a day?
Probably 3 or 4 at most.
7 days a week?
Yes.
Just kept on going?
Yes, same program every day wherever we were.
He was what, how many, 70, 80 years old?
At the time when I was traveling with Srila Prabhupada, he was 79 years old.
How did he get the energy?
Spiritual energy. Prabhupada was inspired from the spiritual platform, and despite the fact that due to old age his body was giving him so many problems, it never affected his ability to work. He had a tremendous amount of energy. He could outpace all of his disciples, and we're all young men.
How would Prabhupada react to the resistance of the Hare Krishnas? I know the Hare Krishnas have been ridiculed and made fun of and called cults, and been the object of a lot of opposition and persecution. How would Prabhupada react to this?
Prabhupada was very strong about that kind of misnomer, cult, etc. He knew that this movement was pure and the highest form of religious practice. So whenever there would be any accusation, his reaction would be to immediately preach very strongly as to what the actual situation was. He would tell us to go out and utilize the media and utilize the opportunity of controversy for telling people what Krishna consciousness was actually all about. So he actually became very enthused sometimes when there was some controversy, because he knew that this is an opportunity, and he saw it this way. It was an opportunity sent by Krishna to enable us to become more prominent, to get more people's attention to Krishna consciousness and asking questions. This is one of the processes that we want people to ask about Krishna consciousness. So if there's a little controversy, we don't mind.
Right.
And Prabhupada was always very enthusiastic whenever the opportunity came to preach.
Maharaj, there are a lot of gurus or spiritual leaders of some movements claim to be God. Did Prabhupada ever claimed to be God?
No, never. Prabhupada was very disturbed by these false claims, bogus people who claim to be the Supreme Person, but actually have no power that the Supreme Lord has. Prabhupada always made it very clear to us that his position and the position of any living entity is that we are servants of God. Krishna is all-powerful, omniscient, omnipresent.
The humans are not the masters, and he was not the master.
Yes, we are simply servants of the Supreme Lord. And the natural position for any living entity is to serve the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna.
Prabhupada was a very amazing man, working 18, 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. What was the one most amazing thing you've seen him do?
The most amazing thing about Prabhupada was the way that he was completely unaffected by all of the adoration that he got from his disciples, from all of the material facility that Krishna supplied to him for spreading Krishna consciousness. The way that he was able to remain the same humble, simple personality. That was the most amazing thing. Prabhupada was not a man who was displaying magical feats. He attracted us by his purity, by his simplicity, and by his genuine honesty and compassion. And that was actually, in this world, that is very amazing, to find a person who is actually pure, completely unmotivated, who simply wants to help you. And the more that we took advantage of that help from Prabhupada, the more help he wanted to give us. That was always very amazing. There was no flaw in Prabhupada's character.
Now, a man like that, how are you able to tell people who are joining your movement now, 5, 6 years after his death, how are you able to really fully describe him?
It's very difficult to fully describe a pure devotee of the Lord. What we can do is try to give people what Prabhupada has given us, the pure, unadulterated standard of Krishna consciousness that he displayed. This is what we want to give to others. And then when people experience real Krishna consciousness, real God consciousness, they'll know something about Srila Prabhupada.
Wish we could talk a few more minutes about Prabhupada, but we've run out of time, so I have to go back to the anchor desk and Manya.
Dr. Stilson Judah is Professor Emeritus at the University of California at Berkeley. His field is the history of religion. We asked Dr. Judah to tell us about his association with Swami Prabhupada.
The International Society for Krishna Consciousness is a bona fide movement. It is a movement which is actually older than that of Christianity. The worship of Krishna is one which is extremely popular in India. It is one of the great religions of India at the present time, as it has been throughout all of the years of history.
One of the questions most asked by people is whether Hare Krishna is just a passing fad or is it really here to stay. Next week we're going to try and get all the answers. Will Hare Krishna survive through the 80s? What happened to the movement after the passing on of their leader, Swami Prabhupada? And what kind of worship do they have?